Joseph guys, and recently I made a video talking about my screens, like how I made it, and what it can do. And so some of you guys may have been wondering, alright, well how can I build this in my world? So I thought that it might be cool to make a tutorial on this, but there is one issue. It is a little too complex to fit into a tutorial, so there's like wires everywhere, there is a lot of tiny parts that are complex and need a lot of explaining. But I will make a tutorial on the most important part, and that is the screen itself. The screen displays 8 by 8 characters, and it is actually physically broken up into 64 character segments. And this is one of the segments. This is really all the bulk of the screen is. It's just these stacked next to each other. But let's see what this can do. So if I wanted to load an A, we can go to our input right here and put in a arrangement of pixels, and then I can write to the top layer, and then I can put in another layer of pixels, and write to the second layer, and then another arrangement, third layer, and then finally to the fourth layer. And so I actually wrote the letter A to the screen. So that is how I would load a character, and it's just different arrangements of 4x4 pixels being loaded to each segment. And then if I want, I can just clear the screen by just flicking that lever, and it all disappears. But let's start building it. So we start with one block, and before I start, I would suggest using World Edit. It makes it a lot easier and a lot faster. If you don't, that's alright. This is a pretty small build, but if you're going to stack these next to each other, I would definitely suggest using World Edit. But let's get started. So first we're going to start with the memory cell. So the screen actually has many memory cells in it that can save inputs. So we're going to place a redstone torch on the block, and then we're going to place another block over here with a repeater. So the torch should be powering the repeater, and then have the repeater go into another block, and then place a torch on that block, and then a repeater going into this block. And so this actually acts as a little memory lab. If I give an input here, it flips states. And no matter what I do to this block, it won't change. I have to send a signal to this block for it to go back to the original state. Now, if you're using World Edit, I'm going to select this block, and then build a block down here, and select this block. And we are going to stack it 3 down. So / stack 3D. So now you should have 4 of these little latches, and now what we're going to do is we're going to create the output. So we're going to build 2 blocks out here, 1 block in front of the torch, place a redstone dust, and then place a repeater. And then on the other side, we are going to place a block with a slab, and then on top of the slab, we're going to place redstone. On top of the block, we are placing a repeater. So you should kind of have something like this. And then I'm just going to build a block up here, and then I'm going to select this block, and select this block, and stack this 3 down. So / stack 3D. Now, this line right here with the slabs is going to be what's going to clear our latch. Like I said, if I power this latch, it goes back to the original state, which is actually off. So I'm going to make a tower so that all of these are hooked up. So you should have a tower like this, and so if I power this redstone down here, it travels all the way up and is powering all of these blocks. Now, if you're going to stack them next to each other, I'm going to suggest you break this block and replace it with a solid block. Very important later. Now we're going to make the actual pixel display. So what we're going to do is we're just going to build out a block here, place redstone on this block, and then we're going to place another block. And then on this block, we're going to place 2 torches. We're going to build down 1 and build out here, and then we're going to create a little L like this. Now right in front of the torches, we're going to place repeaters, and on this block, we place redstone dust. Then we have this dust and repeater go into 2 blocks. On this block, we're going to place 2 torches. Make sure these torches turn off. And then on top of the torches, we are going to place 2 blocks. And so now we just place a 2x2 grid of lamps right here, and now this is our pixel. Now what we're going to do is we're going to select this dust, and then the block below this redstone dust, and we're going to stack this 3 down, and then we're going to select this corner and this block, and we're going to stack this 3 down. Now you should have a solid column of lamps. Now for the input. So we have to power this block for the latch to switch states. So I'm going to build a block out here, and then I'm going to build a block up, and then I'm going to build a block out. So we're going to place redstone dust here, and then comparator here in subtract mode. And then I'm going to place a block here and just have a lever for now. And so if I turn this on, you see that it goes through, it switches states, and it turns on this pixel. And then by powering this line, I can clear the pixel. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this block with a slab, and then we're going to stack this. So select this slab and select this dust, and I'm going to stack this 3 down. So we should have 4 of these. And then now I'm just going to connect up the slab in a slab tower. Alright, and then now we are going to stack this over, because right now we only have 1 column, we need 4 columns. So I'm going down here, and we're going to build a block out here, and then here, and select that block, and just break these. And then we are going to select this block right here, and then I'm going to //stack 3, so now we should have 4 of these. Now we're going to select this corner, and then we're going to go down here and select the block under this dust, and then we're going to //stack 3. And so now we should have a full screen here for a 4x4 pixel screen. Now we're going to hook up the clear function. So we're going to build a block down here and make sure it's right below the slab tower. And then I'm just going to build all the way over here to this opening here. Now the blocks that are right in front of redstone dust, we are going to replace with a slab. And this is essential for if you want to stack these. Now on the slabs, we're going to place just normal redstone dust. And then on the blocks, the solid blocks, the blocks without the redstone dust, we're going to place repeaters going in that direction. So what we're going to do is we're going to build up a block here and then build out here, and then we can have a redstone repeater with a lever at the end here, and then this way, if we flick this lever, all of these lines should be powered. Now that we've completed our clear function, let's work on the inputs. So I want to block all the inputs until a certain layer is unlocked. So then I'm going to place 5 blocks, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to go over here and place another 5 blocks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to connect these up. And then I'm just going to have a little lamp here, so if we build up here with a lever on it, and then I'm going to place a torch here, so that it inverts the signal. And so this can change. It really depends on how you set up your screen. Like if you have a bunch of them next to each other, you're going to have one long line. You're not going to have the input right here. Just really depends. So now what we're going to do is on the blocks between the comparators, we're going to place redstone dust. Right before it, we're going to place repeaters. And then the block before the repeater, we're going to build up 1 block actually and break the block below there. And then we just place redstone everywhere. And so in this way, when the input is off, the repeater should be powering these comparators, so locking them. And then when I turn it off, or when I turn the input on, they should both turn off. Now all we have to do is stack this down. So I'm going to select this dust and this block. I'm going to stack this 3 down. And then I'm going to select this block and this dust. I'm going to stack that 3 down. And then I'm going to take this lever here and this block here and stack that 3 down. Now all we have to do is get our inputs. So for the slabs here, just for my input, again, it really depends on if you're stacking these all on top of each other. It really just depends. So I'm going to build a block down here, and then a block down here, and I'm going to build one out right here. Then I'm going to place repeater here, redstone here, and then at the start of this repeater, we're going to place a redstone lamp, and then we're going to place a lever on it. So this is just going to be our basic input. So when I flick this, it should power this entire line. And then you just build this 4 times. Now we have a fully working character segment, and so we can test this out. I can just put an A like we did before. So I can put in these pixels, load to the top, and then do 1001, load to the second layer, and then all ones, load to the third layer, and then 1001, and load to the 4th layer. And we can come to the front, and we can see that it loaded in A. So I hope that this tutorial helped. I hope I kind of explained what most of these parts do. If you guys have any further questions about how I build this or how to do something, feel free to comment. But that's all for now. Peace.